Don't give them advertising.
No, I want to give
must
them,
pay us.
because some of them had fired me anyway.
They fired you.
One of them.
For long. We're not mentioning them.
So one of them fired me, so I'm not going to even say anything for that. So yeah, I'm not going to even mention that. You live once, and therefore, if an opportunity comes, it's not going to come wrapped in gifts and in rainbows and pink little bow ties. It is an opportunity. You just take it and run. And that's one of the things. When I get people, no, property, I can never go wrong. And I'm like, hey guys, I know stories.
Yeah.
I'm currently paying school fees for now for one of my properties, and it still, you'll always have problems. The difference is you choose the type of problems you have. For 2 years, I didn't have a salary.
2 years?
2 years. 2 years, I didn't have a salary. Nothing's going to replace hard work. This smart work story, for me anyway, it's never going to replace hard work.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Okay, welcome to the It's More Than Just Money Movement channel. If you're watching this, it's not by chance or coincidence. You need to take out your pen and paper and jot down everything that you're going to be listening to. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, guys, please click on that subscribe button, click on the notifications bell so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And do me a favor, as the conversation is going on, please comment. Let us know which part of this conversation resonates with you. You know, if at 10 minutes the conversation hits you differently, comment and say 10 minutes, 55 seconds. This is what Mr. Mabuye Mokoena said, and I resonate with it. Mr. Mokoena.
Yes, sir.
Your infectious laugh. Thank you for coming through.
It's a pleasure, man.
We appreciate you. You know, I always say to people, I'm like, you know, part of the reason why we have this podcast is because we're creating an opportunity where young guys, like we once were young, have access to mentors that they might not necessarily have access to.
That's actually true.
You understand? Because if I wanted to have a conversation with you, we can grab coffee and talk.
That's true.
Right?
That's also true.
But now we get to have this conversation and we have an audience around us and it can impact lives. So it doesn't just become a conversation that we had and we are impacted, but we had and we are impacted and thousands of other people that are going to see it.
That's actually a different perspective. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think about it that. Now that you're saying that, it's...
So before we even start, I want you to give us a background of who you are, where you're from, you know, paint the picture so that we can find ourselves there. Because, you know, with every black child, we can all resonate to a story.
Yeah.
We can all, like I was just talking to this gentleman here, a guy said something here and it touched him because he could resonate.
Yeah. And it's always something, I mean, even when I listen to your podcast and other podcasts, you'll pick up something that just, oh wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what's your story?
I'm
East Rand.
No, not really. I'm not even from East Rand.
Really?
I got hijacked, you know, when you get married and Danko. So if you can hear my Danko already, can give you an idea or get a guy. So
that sounds like what? So wait. Val.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was born and bred called Valis Booking. To my mom and dad some 40 years ago. Grew up in a normal childhood, to be honest with you. There's nothing exciting about the childhood there, Rona. And then I attended school, and then I think the real change only happened in high school in my life. So I went to a normal private. Then in high school, I shifted, and I went to a boarding school.
Yeah.
And then that really started shaping my entire life. So,
where was this? Around Val as well?
No. I went to Poch Boys High.
Or Potchefstroom?
Yeah, I went to Potchefstroom Boys High. So that really started shaping my life in terms of, you know, the path that my life would take, the career would take, you know, sports and all those things there. You know, you got introduced to rugby for the first time in your life. And
well, you can hear by the school you went to, Poch Boys High, where there was proper rugby being done.
No. There was. So you get introduced to rugby, started playing rugby, fell in love with the sports, and it even overtook soccer, my soccer career.
Wow.
where it was going. And then I think, grade 10, I shifted from Poch Boys High and went to another high school, Riverside High, back in the Val now again, which was very close to home. So my dad thought, so my dad's a businessman, so he thought, he did the numbers and was like, I'm not going to be driving to Poch every weekend. We've got a good school that's literally less than 100 meters away from home.
But it was also a boarding school.
No, it wasn't a boarding school. So now I went from all boys
Yes.
to suddenly co-ed.
You're seeing girls again for the first time.
Yeah, after 2 years.
Yeah.
After 2 years, now you're sitting with them, you're interacting with them in class, and different, eh?
For sure.
Yeah, so we did that, and I went to high school. After high school, matriculated from Riverside High, took a gap year, and then I think in that gap year, my dad manipulated me a little bit. He sought to see, because I wasn't sure. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but he was like, no, you know what, you should take up hospitality. It allows you to travel, and it wasn't my
To take it
first
up
choice.
as a chef or what?
Yeah, as a career. As a career.
But
in itself.
I agree, some people do it to be chefs.
Yeah, so you split it into
Culinary.
so you split it into two. So you either go into management or you go into chefing.
Yes.
So I did it, but I did not want to go into chefing. I looked at that and no, I went into the management side of it. And then after that, I graduated from TUT. What is now TUT? Back then it was, what was it? It was before it was TUT.
Pretoria Tech.
Yeah, Pretoria Tech then when I first joined. So it gives away my age. Gives away my age, or it was Pretoria Tech. But whilst moving, it was changed to TUT. And then after TUT, so my dad was very forward thinking. So he started applying for me to go overseas.
What?
Yeah. He started finding out information about how do you get overseas with this and that. And then
To do what? With the
hospitality.
course,
With the hospitality. And then for some reason, towards the end of my schooling, he said, look, there's options there in front of you. And then
several countries.
Several companies, several countries. This is the route to take. And I think at the time, the easiest one was the UK. And then, I think October 2004, I packed up my bags and got into a flight, one man, to the UK at that age, just after school.
Yo, talk about intentional parenting.
Yeah, no, he was very intentional about it. And then, I went to the UK, spent about 3 years there. So finished part of my practicals, qualification there, because you needed to do practicals and submit. Did that there, but carried on working for a few more years. And then while I was there, I started probably getting into more passion about rugby and played rugby for a couple of years and ended up getting injured in Russia, of all places.
So now, wait, you got to England.
Yeah.
And you were working there.
So I was working there, yeah.
Yes.
And then while I was there, I met the accountant who happened to be a rugby player.
Right.
Because I was like asking, and then he happened to be a rugby player. I said, no, look, come join my club. It's only a train ride, one stop away from where we were working. So it was like in the farms, like, what do they call it? Surrey in England. And so I went and played there and I fell more in love with the sports and took it up to the next level. And then,
international level.
Yeah, you can say that. You started talking to people there. And then what happened then?
Had you not played at TUT?
No, I did play, actually.
You did play?
No, I did play. I was playing at TUT. But back then, my heart was still between soccer and rugby. But rugby had essentially taken over. But also from high school, I was already playing for, they call them Craven Week teams. Mm-hmm. So I was already there. So it means the level was there. But I think in tertiary, I got the ultimatum. Soccer. It's either school or sports. And I think at the time,
who gives this ultimatum? Time.
The same one. Yeah, the same one who pays it. He's got that saying, if I pay, I say.
Yes.
So that's his saying, if I pay, I say. So he gave me an ultimatum because I think my books were starting to get affected because of sports. So he said, make a choice. But when he says make a choice, he eventually says to you.
He's telling you what choice to make.
Yeah, what choice to make. And I think at the time, sports was not as it is now, where if I see that my child is really talented in something, I can invest a lot into that.
Especially not rugby.
Yeah.
For a black kid.
And back then, no, definitely not. There were few and far. Look, there were few and far professionals the guys who were professional, who turned professional that I played with, but there were few and far from at that time. So, and then off I went to England. And, after my stint in England, I came back to SA. I think this was about 2007.
Yeah, so you did about 3
4
years.
Yeah.
In England.
Yeah, so I did 3 or 4 years in England, came back to South Africa, and I worked at Emerald Casino. That was my first job.
Emerald.
It's in the Val as well.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
yes,
in the
yes.
Val.
I see it.
So I worked
On
at
a Bay
well, yeah,
Park.
yes, exactly. So I worked at Emerald Casino, but it was also there where I realized, hey, this career hospitality.
Hospitality, yes.
Hey, no. Look, it's beneficial now. Funny enough, if I'd chosen to be a chef, if more than anything else, I would have chosen to be a chef.
You don't look like you can cook, man.
Ask me.
Don't regret.
Hey, Chief,
Can this man cook?
Yes, you can.
I'm
Over
the cook
UK.
at home. I'm the
Really?
cook at home. Yeah. I'm the cook at home. I'm the culinary guy at home. So
Interesting.
it's a pity with business now. I don't do it as often.
Yeah.
But when I
do
do
you
do
think
it-
because you're taking the management route, do you think that also because you've done management in England, if you were not being the manager, but you were training to be that,
Exactly,
I take
yeah.
it. And then when you came back to Emerald, you played a management role as well.
Yeah.
Because of your experience overseas.
Yeah.
Do you think that management exposure now made it easier for you with what you're doing now in business and entrepreneurship?
No, definitely, because I think you started getting the insights of how things run. Because when you're sitting on the outside, there's a certain perception that you think this is how it runs. And then when you're thrown into the fire, then it changes completely. You know what I mean? So it definitely played a role, but I think even a bigger role now that I'm owning my own companies. And then you kind of go, hey, now I even realized what my own bosses were trying to relate to me, what didn't make sense to me as an employee. Now as an employer, it makes 100% sense.
What examples can you give of that? And maybe take me through the mindset you had when you were still training and on the one side, and the mindset you have now that you're also running your own businesses and you've got staff and employees.
I'm trying to think of the simplest ones. Like the idea of having processes and systems in place. They, as an employee, they were tedious because I call them red tape. It's like, oh gosh, this is irritating. Why do I have to go through this? If I've got a witness here who wants to be my client at the time as an ops manager, let's just do things now. But as the company says, no, there's processes to follow. Have you followed due process? Have you followed the procedures? The policies says this and this and that. And I didn't, at the time, it was very irritating. But now as a boss, as I sit there, it's probably my biggest headache, formulating the processes, actually getting the guys to follow through the processes of building a system and saying, guys, this doesn't just happen. Somebody doesn't just wake up tomorrow and build a podcast. Somebody doesn't just wake up tomorrow and build a multinational business. There's a lot of processes that go into that. And we didn't see that. We just saw that as red tape is irritating. But now as I'm sitting on the other side of it, you go, hey.
Now you realize.
Hey. No, and you realize the importance of it. If I'm in the process in my life at the moment of, I think in the last 12 months, I've changed the landscape of my business and my mindset of saying, guys, I've got for one, and I'll give you, for one, the exit issue. That's the first thing that I had to sit with the coach.
Out of the business.
Yeah, and even out of everything.
The exit plan.
The exit plan.
Yeah.
So I got introduced to the exit plan, I think, when I first joined the property world. But now in business,
I always believed in owning the thing forever until I also was introduced by my mentor.
Because I get it. You know what I call that name? I call it the title deed mentality.
True.
Because what is the one thing that we always proud of? What is the proudest thing? Can I title? So I call it the title deed mentality. And then when you wake up and you realize you get other people who are smarter than you who've built what I want to build, and they kind of go, nah, I don't own anything. I don't need to own anything. I don't need to own 100% of this. I can own 1% of 100 things instead of owning 100% of one thing or owning 100% of zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So that speaks to exposure. You're saying, even through your journey all the way, because, check this out. Your exposure to rugby here in SA was a pivotal point for you when you got to England, because now when you were there, you had a team of people that you worked with, but now it also translated to the field. You had an opportunity to go to the field, either than just getting there doing your culinary arts work.
Exactly. Yeah, right? Yeah.
So,
true.
Which makes me wonder, like with every place where you've been, what do you think each exposure has done for you? Exposure to rugby, for instance, opened a particular door. are the things that you've done where you see a door opening and you were not expecting for the door to open because of that thing?
It's funny now that I'm thinking about that and going, one of the things that I can honestly say helped me a lot, finally through rugby and through getting that exposure and a different way of cultural thinking was with my marriage. Yeah. Funny enough, with the type of husband that I am or father that I am. I can probably say, and I always say to my wife, I owe that to the guys that exposed me to rugby in England.
Discipline. Or what?
It's the discipline, but it's also the cultural aspect of things. And I used to tell my wife this story, and we used to have our captain. He was also black, but from England. And I remember one day we were just, so you know how it is, like we drink. We used to
Rugby guys drink like fish.
We drink. and then our captain one day, he was like, hey, sorry guys, I'm leaving you guys after the game. I'm like, so where are you going? Like,
And you're the captain.
I was like, where you going? And it's like, no, I'm babysitting today. Okay, you're babysitting. Okay.
And you're an African man.
Yeah. You see, because remember, this is how I grew up. Yeah. Yes, because you're babysitting. Where's your wife? Because we know, where's your wife? Oh no, my wife is going out. And he didn't just say he's going out. He said, oh, my wife is going to get pissed tonight. What do you mean? My wife is saying, no, she's going out with her girls. And I'm like, you're okay with that? And just remember, this is old me. Yeah. And you're okay with that? And he's like, and he said me, he used to call me Bobo. Call him Bobo, that's my So he used to call me Bobo. He says, Bobo, let me sit you down. He says, you see, for the 3 weeks that I spend with you guys every night, we're up taking a piss. We're up until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking our lungs out. She's also human. And before she's my wife, she's an individual with friends, with, a life. So she also needs that part of life. So that's why we agree that once in a while, she can go paint the town red. And that stuck with me. Even though it was through rugby, but that stuck with me as a type of husband that I am, is that sometimes culture does that to us. You don't see it the other way around. And that was one of the pivotal lessons I learned, believe it or not, in rugby, that makes me the type of, that opened a doorway to be the husband that I strive to be.
Wow. So I'm going to ask, I've got a question for you. But guys, those of you who are watching, remember in December, we've got the It's More Than Just Money Gala Dinner on the 13th of December. Please get in touch with our office, 0627665612, if you want to be part of that. And then if you're hearing any noise, whether it's a grinder going zzz, there are guys who are doing some work on the outside. So please bear with us if you are somehow hearing that noise or it's not edited out of this episode. Please bear with us. There are people that are doing construction next to our office. So what I wanted to ask you is that when you got to the VAR and you worked at Emerald, you then moved on to something else after how long?
No, I didn't say, maybe about 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
What did you move on to? Because I'm asking deliberately because the industry that you're in now is not even hospitality.
Oh, it's very far from it.
Yeah,
very far from it. So after Emerald, I went to become a financial advisor.
Financial advice?
Oh, yeah. I'm a certified one.
From rugby.
Yeah, man.
To culinary arts, to financial advisor.
So I went into financial advising for a few years. And that was just before I met my wife, actually. I was a financial advisor. And I think that's where, so during that process is also where I can say I met God in a different way. Through financial advising, that's where my spiritual life started taking a more keen interest in that. So yeah, I went from a financial advisor, I went to financial advising to working in the bishop's office.
The bishop's office or church?
Because I'm Catholic. So yeah, we went to the bishop's. So I ran the youth office.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ran the youth.
Oh, you were a youth pastor?
No. I just knew, I think I'm good at administration. So I was good at starting it, giving it structure, how it should look, introducing it to churches, because there was no really formal structure there. So introducing churches. So I went from there, from to Liberty, making money, to giving away money to church. And then what else? Yeah, and then after that, I left to where my current business is now. So I went into that industry.
Yeah. So, can you tell me more about what led you to get into property investing? Because when I'm listening to your story, it sounds like a story of pivoting.
Mm.
You know, there's rugby, from rugby, there's soccer. Then we pivot back into education. Then we're willing to take the risk to go overseas. So we get overseas, we pivot into rugby, we get back into the industry. So there's just this adaptability, basically, that I'm
Now that
noticing.
you're saying, no, I think, So what got me into property, I think it's the same. I think it's the same story that, when I say me and you, black people here, property can make you money.
You're hearing that from people.
Oh yeah.
At the time.
At the time, no property. When I came back, I'd saved up quite a lot of money. I remember when I came back, I saved up a lot of money.
You had euros.
Pounds.
Pounds.
And at the time, it was 22, right? It was still 22, 23, 24. And then, I got into really my first property that I bought. It was in 2007. And they'd said that get into property, rent it out, and you make money.
What kind of property was it?
It was a flat. It was one bedroom flat to convert into a 2-bedroom. No. Back in the Val.
Back in the Val still. Yeah.
Back in the Val. But that was a story that most of us as black people were sold. Hey, property, you can never go wrong.
You can go very wrong.
And boy, oh boy, can you go wrong? Hindsight, boy, oh boy, can you go wrong? In property. So that's how I got introduced to property. But the difference between then and now, I tell people, is that I've graduated.
You needed to pay school fees.
Yes, but now I've graduated.
But what was the school fees that you paid? Before we talk about the graduation, tell us about the
school
fees. The tuition fees are very important.
I think the tuition fees, some of them included, was that property was not actually making me money. It was not cash flow positive.
You had bought it cash?
Yeah, I bought it, yeah. No, half. So I bonded half of it, but it wasn't really making me cash. It was in the wrong location, wrong tenants. Tenants are not paying. I don't know how many times I've been to court to find a bill to try and get evictions. And, so all those things were school fees that I paid in that time that I needed to in the beginning stages of it. So it was bad. It was bad to the point of, when people get you arrested, tenants get you arrested because you are trying to forcefully move them out. And that's one of the school fees that I paid earlier on in my life.
Yeah. But that speaks to, lack of knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
In a sense that you're just hearing, I call them now the price stand conversations.
Yeah.
Price stand conversations is we're sitting by the price stand and somebody else, I never Leon. But the person has never done it.
You can never go wrong.
You can never go wrong.
It still happens till today.
Yeah, it's a price stand conversation.
Till today, when I get people, no, property, I can never go wrong. And I'm like, hey guys, I know stories.
Yeah.
I'm currently paying school fees for now for one of my properties, and it still.
Yeah. So when you then found yourself transitioning into becoming a property investor that's more slightly knowledgeable, was there a point in time where you met a mentor or you met certain education that changed the way you did things?
No, definitely. I think the whole landscape, my landscape, changed when I joined the South African Property Investors Network.
Oh, you joined SAPIN?
So I joined SAPIN, so it was one...
What year was this now?
Last year, actually.
Last year?
Yeah.
So the paradigm shift happened last year?
Yeah. So for me, it happened last year.
So from 2007 to 2023.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just buying up properties.
For the sake of it? No strategy?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Remember, that's where the graduation comes in.
Yeah.
Remember when I said to you that I've graduated? So I said I was, when I was being interviewed as part of the Investor of the Year, one of the things that I said to them.
By the way, congratulations
thank you.
for being nominated Investor of the Year.
Thank you very much.
2024.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to. I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, we'll be there
to watch you.
Nice.
To watch you get your award.
Crossing fingers.
Crossing fingers.
Crossing fingers.
I'm
and
looking
toes
forward
and
to seeing that.
So that's where the graduation part of it comes in. When I said to them that I finally realized that I graduated from being a property buyer to a property investor.
True. Give us the difference, man. What do you mean a property buyer and a property investor?
So from, like you've alluded from 2007 till about 2020, say 2023, 2022, 2023, I had amassed quite a few properties. But being a property buyer, due diligence was not done. Running numbers was not done. It was just another brass stand conversation. We say, hey, you know what? Midrand is a very good place to buy property. So what happens?
Go buy in
Go buy in Midrand. Go buy a flat in Midrand. You didn't run the numbers. Is it cash flow positive? Is it
So it didn't matter.
It didn't matter at the time. You just, our business is doing okay and you just buying up some properties here and there.
What industry are you in at the time? Because I know you left culinary arts.
Yeah.
And got into, and that's what people don't understand. You cannot be a property buyer without having income.
Oh no, of course. And I think with that, is just recently when I think you interviewed Percy.
Yeah.
And his book. And when I read the book, I was like, but this is it. That book of his is like the simplest. I vouch for that. I think I went and bought like 10 or 20 of them and I distribute them to people.
Wow.
But purely because when I moved away from that, then I moved to the field that I'm in now, facilities, but I worked for multinational companies, which I'm not going to mention because...
Facilities management. Yeah, I don't give them advertising.
No, I won't give them...
They must pay us.
Because some of them had fired me anyway.
They fired you?
One of them.
For long. We're not mentioning them.
So one of them fired me, so I'm not going to even say anything for that. So yeah, I'm not going to even mention that. And they fire in a situation, our contracts are not being renewed. Take a plan. So this was 2017.
Yeah.
So that's when my whole
But you've been with them for how long?
No, I've been in the industry, so I'd been to the top, I can probably say the top 2 in the country. Facilities management company. So moving around in different areas. So I was lucky enough to get exposure to operations, sales in those facilities.
For a guy who was cooking, that's amazing. Eh?
No, I think that's one thing I'm very good at. I adapt.
The pivot, that's what I'm saying.
That's one of my strengths. What is it
about you that makes you adapt so easily to situations and new experiences? Because not many people can do that.
I think for me, I also believe in a philosophy, Arajo. You live once, and therefore, if an opportunity comes, it's not going to come wrapped in gifts and in rainbows and pink little bow ties. It is an opportunity. You just take it and run. And that's one of the things that has made me become so adaptable. Again, lifing, sometimes you only have one. And therefore, when an opportunity comes, go in. The problem with what we had, and I was just talking to my wife the other time, I said, there's a conversation that she had. Now, she's an engineer, but there was a conversation she had with an old man on site. This old man was coining it.
At work?
Yeah, at work. But this man was coining it as a contractor. And she was working for a multinational, multi-international company. And this old man said, the problem with you guys in Ganzanga, with the education in, you earn more shit. Even when you see opportunities, we penny, we jigise, often check what's wrong with this, what's wrong. Mina, ngatoli tuba, ngalsebenzisa, ngagijima. So it's part of adaptability. What is going to be there? And that's one of the stories that stayed with me.
One guy, based on what you just said about the timer that talked about finding an opportunity and using it, right? Obviously, even in the Bible, it says time and chance happens to them all, right? It says bread is not to men of strength or to the wise. And the race is not won by the fastest guy. Yeah. But time and chance happens to them all. That speaks to opportunity. Right? But this guy I was talking to this morning says to me, Witness, I've seen you doing Word of the Days. And it's like, Witness, Word of the Day is an episode. An episode of your life where you are saying something impactful and it reaches people. That episode might not last forever. Okay? It's like, think of all the great musicians that were trending back in the days when we were growing up. Where are they now? The episode is finished. So during your episode, it is the time where you must maximize on this opportunity that you've seen. So where do you think your episode came? And do you think you maximized it the most to get to where you are?
There's a lot of things that are happening that it doesn't make sense. It cannot be by me only. It cannot be by my own hard work. It just happens. I think I'm in the middle of that. I think I'm definitely in the middle of that episode that you're talking about, that I'm there now at the moment. As I said to you, in my business, in mixing it with property in my business, and I said there last year, and I said, you know what, guys, it's either our business is sinking slowly or we need to push beyond the ceiling. So what do we need to do? To push it beyond the ceiling, It was a whole new different mindset that I needed to adopt. So if you look at, so in my bio that I will write one day, one of the things is mindset student.
Mindset student. That's
Mindset
you.
student. That's me. I'm a mindset student. You know what fascinates me? When I look at you and I look at your podcast and I look at some successful people that we've met at the Real Summit, I always ask them the one thing: what type of mindset do you need to have to run $1 billion portfolio? That's the question. And I think I don't know if you were there when I asked.
You asked him that question.
I asked him that question. I said, what type of mindset do you need to have to run $1 trillion company?
Sure.
What type of mindset do you need to have to run a portfolio that big? In anything, I always ask people who are doing what I would love to do or people that I deem as successful in my own interpretation and say, witness, what type of mindset do you need to have to go, you know what, I'm going to start this podcast. And this is where I need to be. And you'll also realize that a podcast at 1 million people and a podcast at 100 million, completely different ballgame. And you need to have changed the mindset. So that's why I'm a mindset student. And I'm fascinated by successful people's mindsets.
How do you shift as you pivot, right? And sometimes you pivot your way into the next opportunity.
Yeah.
Which is bigger than the previous one you used to have.
Yeah.
How do you then prepare yourself mindset-wise to then be able to be at the right mindset to be able to do what you want to do? It's one thing to pivot into the next opportunity. It's another to handle it. Sometimes we talk about the fact that you need to handle struggle, right? Handle it, right?
Yeah.
But we don't realize how much sometimes you need to be able to handle success.
The other side of it. Oh, yeah. And I would argue that it's actually worse on the other side. I would argue that.
Why would you give that argument so confidently?
When you've got nothing, there's no expectation. You've got nothing to manage. It's just there. It is. When you've got nothing, you've got nothing. There's nothing to manage. The moment you have, then now suddenly you have got a lot to lose. That's the way the problem comes in. Now, when your mindset changes, I've got a lot to lose, it's suddenly different to I've got nothing.
Like a guy who was taking taxis, all he worried about was taxi man.
That's it.
Now he's got a car.
What comes with that? So when I sit there, and it's a constant conversation we have. When I sit there and people would then look at you and say, hey, I wish I was witness.
True.
I wish I no, and
I don't wish to be me, chief.
And remember, and you know what I say to people? And I said the obsession that, and I'm an avid speaker, and people forgive me for that, of black people, because I say that's what I know.
Yeah.
And I can only
It's your reality.
It's my reality. And I say that the challenge that I find constantly with our people is that they are obsessed with the finished product, but never the process. No one ever asks you to, how did you get there? Tell me your story. No one ever asks you that. And says, witness, tell me your story. I know you give it away in snippets here and there, but no one ever sit you down and say what everybody says, witness. Injaya game. See, and everybody's obsessed with that. Yeah. Everybody's obsessed with the finished product. But no one wants to know how you got there. And that's where part of the challenge for me, over the last couple of years, I've been obsessed with the process. I've been obsessed with the process. So that's what prepares me to be ready for the next opportunity that comes. So that's why it's a process. It's a process game that I constantly have, that I'm constantly looking at and say, hey guys. And coupled with that, it's a lot of knowledge. I consume a lot of knowledge.
And you've been able to now fine-tune your property investing strategy from being a buyer
definitely
to being an investor. But not only that, to being an investor that focuses on cash flow, more particularly in multi-lets.
Yeah.
Right? What has been the process in terms of how you did things before and how you do things now that channeled you towards multi-lets?
Yeah.
You buy money.
I've never thought about that. No, I think just the same as most people when I first joined SAPIN, I went there. I think, in my mind, I had this grand idea of this is what I want to do. And then I went into one of the workshops and then boom, reality hits you. Right? When there's town planning, there's this and this, that. Then then suddenly the reality hits you. So it's not as easy. So the mindset then was that everything is simple. You know, it's simple. That I had a very simplistic type of mindset of, oh no, it's. And then when you get to the reality of it, of saying, yeah, it might be simple if I'm buying here and there, but is it really effective?
And the management part, because I mean, one of the things you mentioned about people just looking at the end result, but not looking at the process, is the fact that with each property, even if you are doing the wrong strategy, there's a certain level of management capacity you need to have. There's a difference between managing one tenant and managing 10. There's a difference between managing 10 and managing 50.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a difference between managing 50 and managing 500.
Oh, yeah.
At each level of growth and at each level of capacity, there has to be a certain level of mindset and ability that you need to cultivate. So what do you think being in property is doing to you, and being in business is doing to you in terms of you becoming an effective steward? You're Christian, so I can use...
Yeah.
Remember I told you, I asked you and your wife, I said, are you guys Christian?
Stewards, I was like,
and I said, I can hear the Christianese language is there.
So just ask the question so that I understand it.
What has that done for you to become an effective steward? Your entrepreneurial journey, your journey in rugby, your journey in property, your journey as a father.
I think it's one of those where you realize you can't do it alone. I think that's one of the biggest things that, you know, in terms of you can't do it alone. And that there's only so much that 24 hours can buy you. There's only so much that my own capabilities can do. You know, in the beginning, like you said, I had all these properties, I was managing them. I was checking up on the tenants. Hey, light bulb, you go in there. And you start realizing that is not how you leverage. Now, a new word came into my life, leverage. Leverage came into my life.
Yeah.
So
the language is changing.
The language is changing now. And is leverage. What's leveraging now? Now you're looking at leverage and go, okay, now you need to start looking at leverage and say, how do I leverage myself from this? So those are all the lessons that came into the, like you say, you know, now I was managing myself, but why should I be doing this all the time? You know, what can I put my energy into that will produce more and more and more, instead of just having me trying to do everything and owning. Remember, it's still a mindset issue that I'm still fighting at the back of my mind, me wanting to own everything and wanting to do everything. And that absolutely changed my mind. With, hey, you cannot do it yourself. So surround yourself with people. Surround yourself with a team. Surround yourself with the type of people that you have. That's very important. Surround yourself with the right type of people, and then that will elevate you and elevate your business and elevate the properties that you have.
And when you look at the kinds of people that you've brought into your circle, you talked about a coach. You talked about a mentor. Right? How did that catapult your career in business and your career in property?
It's 100-fold.
100-fold?
You can say 100-fold.
Sure, get into that.
100-fold. So from a property perspective, it was suddenly you get asked the right questions, you interrogate what you have. And that has allowed me literally from 2023 to where we are now, Investor of the Year. In that 1 year, that's how much it has done. It has allowed me to build up a massive portfolio.
Did you convert some of the things that you were buying into now multi-let? So,
for example, one of the reasons why I got nominated was because of my own property that I did. It was my own house, and you know, we wanted to move. You know how it is. You want to move to a safer place. You know how it is.
Just say it. You're moving to the estate.
You know how it is. So you want to move there, and then it's a transition. So you are sitting with what you. So one of the things you are sitting with what do you do there? This guy's not making. I'm humble, and it's worse if I have to say that I'm humble.
Let me tell you, Alec. No humble person is going to say, I'm humble. We must tell him.
No, never. Mamaka, we say, no one's going to tell you, my son.
You must tell yourself.
Of course. My mother-in-law used to say that. My mother-in-law is, that's right.
You're humble.
No, so that's one of the things when I got into it. So we looked at our previous home, and we could have easily sold it. And, you know, again, with the right people in my circle, we looked at it and said, but hang on. The way it was designed, so we, extended and we did all these things. But unbeknown to me, the engineer of the house, She unbeknown to us, when she designed the extension,
She was designing a multi-let.
she was designing a multi-let. And we didn't like, look, this thing happened in 2020 during COVID. When we started changing, she felt that we needed to extend it. Even when she told me, I was like, this is not going to happen, what it is that you're looking for. Little did you know, 4 years later, when we wanted to convert this thing into a multi, it was seamless.
It was cheaper as well.
And so what makes that property unique, within 6 hours, I can turn it back into a house. So you can buy it as a house, as a family. That's what
not
was
many
most
people
innovative.
can say that about a multi-let.
Yes. In 6 hours, I can turn that back into a house. And that was what was smart about how we did that.
Yeah,
And
you
that's
see, Alec,
that's why we got
you must
most
choose
innovative.
a proper wife when you choose it. A wife must be like a tool.
You're not a tool, babe.
Eh? No, I said she must be like.
I said nagi witness.
Eh?
Let that be known.
Madam, I said you must be like a tool. A wife must be like a tool that even when you say things are not possible, the tool is saying, let me do it. And maybe I can commend you on the fact that you didn't understand, but you allowed it.
It's very important.
Now you're reaping the rewards.
Yeah.
You could have, you are not doing that.
Yeah. No,
But thank God for the men you met in Europe.
Yeah, that kept
that exposure as well.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what helped you. Exposure, guys, helps you. Just being in a different environment, just being around different people than the ones you grew up with. Just being around them, and when you're around them, listen.
Oh, you don't talk a lot.
Listen, and you'll understand. You'll pick up so much when you go home. Just being around them.
So, in terms of that, what do you think is the mindset that then allows you to go from the one multi-let to the next one, to the next one, to the next one? Because you can stumble upon something, but it's another now to fine-tune a strategy.
Sure. I think I still have the mindset of a student. And I think that's one thing that I made a decision I will always do. I will forever be a student. And that's the mindset that I have. So it's the mindset of I've moved from one multi-let. In order for me to move, I need to understand what the next person who's done what I want to do.
So the award you're winning tomorrow, I'm interrupting you, is the most innovative,
yeah,
property investor.
Yeah.
Right? But Chief, it doesn't belong to you.
No. Funny enough, you should say that. It belongs
to our tool.
No. Funny enough, you should say that. I get I'm the one who's attending, right?
Yeah.
And so when they send the email, they happen to CC her on it.
Yeah.
And the email said, "Dear Tepi," and the words that start with her.
Yes.
"Dear Tepiso and Mabuye, congratulations." And I was
on the nomination.
On the nomination, she's like, "We are investors of the." Because my name is on that invitation. So no, but it's true. But it's true. No, that definitely, this one, it belongs to both of us. Because remember, there's also a buying process, Joe, that you have to kind of always do in everything that I do. I mean, for example, when I joined SAPIN, remember, at that time it was a lot of money. So I took the executive coaching, blah, blah, blah package. But it was a lot of money.
On the business side?
On the business. No, when I joined for property, remember when I went to the SAPIN for their workshop and they said, come be in and be a member. So it's a lot of money. Yeah. Now, you must remember swiping that money at 10 o'clock on a Saturday evening. And it clicks on the phone.
At least it was not at Gong, man.
No, but you understand. Yeah. But I had to. So
you still have to go and explain.
No. I picked up the phone before. I said, "Babe, so listen, there's going to be a large amount of money that's going to come off the phone that you're probably going to see on your SMSs. Don't be alarmed. I will explain later."
Ish, good as bands. Alec, are you taking notes, my boy?
So no, you had to, because I mean, you can imagine what she's going to think. I mean, if large amount on a Saturday evening, like 10 o'clock.
Okay. Is he grooving this guy now?
So it does definitely belong to both of us.
I mean, your story also speaks to partnership. I mean, and I see why it can, because you said in everything that you've built, the most important thing or asset are the people that you work with. It's not the properties. Like you're saying, without the people, the property is useless. Without the people, what facilities am I managing? I mean, facilities management.
And people add the why factor. Remember, people add the why you're doing it.
Yeah.
The people would add the why factor, because a why is not a property, it's a building. It's bricks and mortar. But the people are the why. They give you the fuel, they give you the reason.
Yeah.
So that's why they're so important.
But also schoolers, man, how to choose the right wife. I get it clearly. It's you do this. I mean, when and I know this, right? When you are building and you are a high performing person, right? Most of some of the stuff you do can be misunderstood.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like say for me, I'm a property guy. Why a property guy would want to write a book and do podcasts? Why are you doing so many things? What's going on with you?
Why?
Are you confused?
No, yeah,
Yeah. But it only takes a certain kind of character to know, okay, I see what this guy is building.
Yeah. Okay.
And funny enough for me, it's always Grotmans who get it. Because I get it, they are far ahead in terms of age and understanding. And I see what you're doing there. Tweak that. And that's what mentorship is about. But also, I mean, when you're married, you've got a partner. Or you're dating, you've got a partner. It's important for them to see the vision and support you.
But in there lies the secret.
Yeah, what's the secret?
I think in there you've just hit on one of the things that anyway, and this is my own personal view of it.
Yeah.
In there you've actually hit the nail on the head. You've got to set the vision. She must buy into that vision.
So you must sell it.
And you must sell it, but not just by words, by actions. She must constantly, it's like running a business. There has to be certain points in time where you see progress and you can measure progress. You know, just like you're running a business, you know, for you to move, you want more subscribers. You know what you have to do. And when it's there, okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? So, but these guys, everybody that's surrounding you here buys into your vision. But the same thing, why not the same thing into marriage? The same vision that you have for your business. Why are you not having the same thing for your marriage and for the type of life? If you ask it now, right? 14 years, I've married for almost 14 years now.
Yeah.
If you ask it 14 years ago, some
you
of
guys
the
are teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah, actually we are. 14 years ago, some of the things that I promised, the vision that I said to her when we were chatting, she was just recollecting that, I'm actually living some of the things you made your promise. And where that came into helping me is when things were bad. You know, starting off a business. For 2 years, I didn't have a salary.
2 years?
2 years. 2 years, I didn't have a salary. Maybe 20 months, you can say, because it was from July 2017. I still remember. And my first salary from July 2017, I only got end of March 2019 or end of April 2019. And even that salary was not as big as my salary when I was still working. So that part of the vision there, even when things were not going well, I was still adamant and said, look, I'm planting. Now I had to depend on her. It's basically living off her salary. You know, and
I feel like in situations like that, the one with the much more bigger character, although obviously the female, your spouse, had character, obviously, right? But for you to have the character to say, who blind, but I'm building. I can only show you what the future looks like. I cannot tell you about today. That takes a certain level of character. Because when you go back to those price tent conversations, some puts
oh yeah.
They don't see the vision.
I see, yes.
So the character that you need to have around that time.
Yeah, to be able to remember, you must be able to calm yourself down and say, hey, Joe, I'm supposed to be a provider. I know that, but this is where it is now. And but I'm building. I'm not going back to work. I'm not going to go for like a CV. That was my last CV that I did back then. But it also takes a certain type of woman to understand that and buy into that and say, okay, cool. Because that's one thing I'm very grateful for. That not once did she ever put pressure on me. I think we only had in that time, we only had one conversation about maybe thinking about going to work, back to work, when things were really, really, really bad. But before that, she was still buying into it. She was like saying, I understand. It'll come. You know? So that to me is very, very important. But it also takes, as a leader, you as a leader to calm yourself down to people. And, if you're the one visionary setting it up there, you need to come back down.
Can we say that can then be applied whether you are in the household or in the business or in the soccer team or in the rugby team, to say if you're the captain, because I would say the husband is the captain, the CEO is the captain. You've set a vision. What makes some CEOs, although they're not paying salaries, people are going to stay and say, we see the vision. I'm willing to take a low pay cut to work for this guy. As a wife,
Sure.
I'm willing to stay with this guy. He can't provide, but it's fine. That's my
I
husband.
don't know, eh? That's a very good question. How you've put it's a very good question as to what would make them. Maybe we need to ask her what made her stay.
What made you stay?
I think for me, Mabuye has always been a forward thinker. He is a partnership. Even when he really could not provide, not once did he lose focus. He still worked tirelessly. He worked, he was sending out tenders, he was going to seminars, he was doing almost working up in the morning as if he was working. He would wake up in the morning, he'd bath, same time as me. He would dress formally, go to our back room and complete tenders, look at opportunities, look at what needs to be done. So even during those 2 years, I still believed in the vision, because even when there was nothing, he was still working towards it. So when opportunity came, he had already laid the foundation. We just had to step in and carry on.
Sure. How do you feel when you're hearing that?
It's humbling. Eh? It's humbling. It's humbling and very touching, because it wasn't, people don't realize how bad it was. People just, even our families, didn't realize how bad things were. Things were bad. Things were bad, but we never wore our poverty on our sleeve. Things were bad, things get sheriffs calling. When the sheriff calls, then things are bad. Guys, I need to take your car. And banks are calling and say, guys, shit, you need to now start paying the bond. We're coming to repossess the house. What's the plan? So it's very humbling. And also, it's also a constant reminder, sometimes it's through prayer and through hard work, relentless hard work. Nothing's going to replace hard work. This smart work story, for me anyway, it's never going to replace hard work. So it's very humbling when you look at the life now versus then. But also I believe that is what it made us who we are. I think that's one thing that from going, because I grew up, to be honest with you, I grew up quite well off. So when you go from, when I say comfortable, not well off, but comfortable. So but when you go through that period,
I feel in the township you are well off. You are well off.
Yeah. Now I went to the suburbs, bro. So the daddy was working. So. But but remember, when you go from that and you come back down to that 2 years of our lives, it also shaped us to say that we are not immune to this. You are not immune to this. So even when it happens, the same people you were going up, you're gonna see them coming down. So it really shaped us to who we are today. Today we are still God-fearing, still the same, people that you saw us before then. Even some people were surprised when this, and the only person who's ever told the story was my mom, because my mom was the only one who knew how bad things were. The only person in this world who knew how bad things really, really were was my mom. And when people started hearing the story, they started going, "Hi, kanjani," but you guys never, like, it was never for us to wear our poverty on our sleeves. But it makes you appreciate more. It makes you appreciate this moment. It makes you appreciate. For me, I live in the moment. It makes me appreciate being here with you. It makes me appreciate everyone else that's out here. Every little thing that I have in my life, I appreciate completely. And she knows that about me. I don't take things for granted.
Sure.
Because I realize that through, my hard work, but through the power of intervention, there's it's not just about me. So I really do that. And that's some of the things that have helped me. I live a life of gratitude. Because I've
And
been
how
there.
important is that?
Gratitude, Joe, and I think the problem is it's been bastardized.
Gratitude is
Gratitude is
bastardized.
bastardized by people who don't really understand the true meaning of it. When I looked at my life then, I was looking at it half full. I could have easily gone down the rails, fallen off the rails back then at the time. If you think about it, if you're not working, you still wake up every single day, wear a formal shirt like I'm wearing now, wear pants, go to the back room as if I'm going to work. Every day, I had to think to myself, class half full. I'm awake. Kids are still going to school. Let's move. Let's push
There
on.
must be a certain self-image you had. There must have been a way you saw yourself that made you want to wake up and say, I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna sleep. Because I've heard stories where a guy is retrenched or he says he's starting a business. It's where like msadi pele. Msadi o siya dikobo. O bereka.
And that's the thing. And that for me, because I think one of the things Tepiso's not mentioning is the fact that when she came back home, house clean, cooked, kids have been clean, have been bathed, everything. Because I understood that role. So when things like this happen to guys and we're quick to blame women and say, basadi ba vaile. Sometimes let's look at ourselves. What is it that I'm contributing? Yes, I might not be contributing financially, but there's a whole lot of other ways that one can contribute towards that, and that certainly helped with that. And for me, but I kept that image. I did not have an image of hey, 1 year I can't like I'm broke. No, I'm a businessman. Get up.
That's what I'm talking about. That mindset.
I'm a businessman.
How you see yourself. She probably saw what you saw.
And because remember, I constantly have to sell that vision, because remember, the moment if she saw me waking up and she wakes up first, she sees me being in bed,
Depressed.
I'm still Karikobo. How is she going to buy into that? How is she going to buy that I'm actually going to create that life for her? How is she going to do that? If so it's one thing for me to say, I'm building, and I get it a lot, Kamajit. Hey, I'm building a business. Show me your diary. What do you do every day? Then that says a whole lot more than what you're telling me, because I don't even listen to what people say. And I tell my kids all the time, don't tell me what you say. Tell me what you do. Your actions must be speaking louder than, the old saying, actions speak louder than words.
Louder than words, yeah.
Those old sayings are so true. And I look at them, and that's what I practice. And I say, hey, guys, don't tell me, because I'll say, witness, tell me. It's like, witness, tell me. No. Show me. Then I'll believe you. I get a lot of guys. I'm fit to start a business. I'm fit to a business. Okay, cool.
What are you doing?
Show me a day. What do you do in a day? What's that?
Hustling.
And
they like saying that, right? That's the word.
I'm hustling. What's that? What's hustling?
If you were to correct that for somebody that's watching, that's saying, I'm hustling, what would be the correct way? Or the correct, because language informs understanding, and understanding informs actions and execution. Right?
Yeah. I get you. I think for me, that's the first part. Don't ever use the word hustling. For me, because unfortunately it's got a bad connotation. Hustling in itself has got a very bad connotation. And I don't know what I would say. I don't know what I would say in order to change it.
You said it.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. In the beginning, you know what you said? You said, every single day, I woke up as if I'm going to work. I put on a shirt, formal shirt, like I am now. And I said to myself, I'm a businessman.
And actually,
how were you a businessman when there was nothing?
And that's
but that's not what you saw.
Yeah. But I think that also informs the mindset story. Because if you add to guys in my office now, a shift has happened in the last couple of months. They're like, because I said to them, guys, I'm building now, my business is moving, and I'm building 100 million rand business.
Yeah.
I've got my exit plan is in 8 years. And everybody knows it's clear.
Exit plan.
And it's a clear plan from even business. But my mindset needed to change to that which I think, through reading, through all the resources, through asking people, I knew what type of mindset. So I'm having that mindset now. So the old me changed in the last couple of months because I knew in order for me to get to where I want to be, which is my exit plan in 8 years' time. There's
Why
a type
8 years,
of
if I
person.
may ask?
So in 8 years I turned 50.
Oh,
Right?
the big 50. Oh,
But
you must
big-
do a party.
No, well,
I'm invited.
No, you are invited. But
Thank you.
See, but in that party, I'll be celebrating 3 things,
Yeah.
and I'm very intentional about them.
Yeah.
So the first thing is I'll be celebrating getting out of executive role to being a chairperson of the group.
Yeah.
That's my exit plan from executive everyday work. That's
chairman.
the first thing. Yeah, it's the first thing I'm celebrating. Obviously, the second one is 50 years old. The jubilee, and the third one is my doctorate. I will celebrate my. See, I'm putting it nationally now. No
No, of
pressure.
course, it's gonna happen.
But
and I'll be at the party. Don't
Yeah,
be jealous
so
when I'm
when-
sitting with the chairman.
so
in
when
8
I'm,
years' time.
So when I'm sitting there,
I will be 42.
Yeah.
Eh?
So
I'll be 43. I'll be old.
but you see, but now with that being said, those are the 3 things I said, guys. When I hit 50, I'll be celebrating those 3 things.
Sure.
And when I'm 49, I want to take a gap year to go write my thesis. I want to take
Writing it on business.
Yeah, on business. But I will, whatever topic is then, I obviously don't know now, but I would have taken a gap year, and my goal is to write it on 3 different continents. Take a gap year off. So that's so you can imagine what type of, that's insanity. Someone look at me and say, that's insane. But I'm saying that's the goal. So therefore, that informs the type of mindset I need to have for me to achieve that.
Then that speaks to your behavior
Exactly.
and everyday habits.
And everyday habits, and habits will lead to your behavior to lead to who you are every day. So that's who I am. So even the tone in the office, the tone when I'm conducting business opportunities and property is of that guy who's sitting as a chairman, not as Mabuye now. You know what I mean? So when I look at a property deal that comes up, my mindset is different. Because I always ask myself, hey, why do the guy with a PhD look at it different to what I would look at
That's
it?
a what would Jesus do moment.
Uh-huh. And that's what I do, and that's what I say. I say, what
would the chairman do?
Yeah, exactly. I need to think about it. That's where, in answering that previous question, if you want to be a businessman, yes, you might not have the acumen. The problem is you're obsessed with the how. And the how will come. And it's so funny, life, once you become intentional about things in life, somehow it's like things align. When I joined SAPIN last year, I was very intentional about my goals. Extremely intentional about my goals. I was not worried about the how. But somehow life is so funny because when I've got a vision, when I've got a focus, things just, when opportunities come, who do you think I would meet witness? And the moment I met you, and I said it off air, I think I said, the moment I met you, I said to him, oh yeah, I think I'll be on his podcast.
Yeah.
I said, I'll be on his podcast. I just don't know when and what it's going to be about. And I laughed when I got the email from Investor of the Year when they said, guys, there's a slot witness they want to talk about, pick a slot. And I just laughed.
You're like, that moment.
I know. And all I do is I took my phone and I said, look at this. I said, oh, look at this email. And I said, what did I tell you? So when you're intentional about certain things, but you also back it up with work, somehow life just starts opening up. I think it was Gary Player who said, yes, the harder I train and the harder I work, the luckier I get. And those are some of the things that are unexplainable in my life or business, but because I'm very intentional. My mindset when I walk into the office, just before I came here, we had a very intense meeting in the office. Reiterating, guys, this is the goal and we're not going, what do we need to do to get there? So I think intentionality is very, very important. So even the guy who's out there who's saying, I'm a hustler, I'm a businessman, what does that look like? If you cannot tell me that, then maybe you need to go refine it for yourself, because that will inform what you do every day.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Sure. No, I don't have a favorite quote. Although I have it's because of the different books I read, because then it changes all the time. So I don't have a favorite quote, but one of the best things that I've learned recently from, no man, it was the diary of, I'm reading the diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
But I think the best quote is, I think it was from, I think Tebiso will tell me, what was it from? I think from The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, that book.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those things, and says, and the guy says, in life, you must accept that you're always going to have problems. And I'm not saying verbatim. You'll always have problems. The difference is you choose the type of problems you have. It's, when you solve a problem.
I mean, you want the 100 million rand problem now.
Yeah.
I mean,
so inadvertently, when you solve one problem, you're inadvertently creating another problem. So the difference, he says, the difference is the type of problems you create for yourself. So I'm in a space of creating high-value problems because they'll have high-value solutions. And it's one of the things I live with by now. It's like, I don't get involved in this. And I'll tell this. Nah.
It's not my kind of... I've got better problems to deal with.
Give me a better problem. And that's what I say to my guys in the office. No, guys, that's not a problem. Give me a better problem to solve. Let's get to high-value problems to solve. Sure. So that's one of the things that has stuck with me from that book. And I think it was towards the last chapter when he said that in life, you're always going to have problems. You're not going to run away from it. Just depends on the type you want. If you want, let's say, low quality.
So, Chairman, if you were given an opportunity...
Oh, I like that. Thank you. It sits well. Oh, I receive. I like that. Oh, it landed well, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, it landed well.
Of course it
guys,
did.
Did it land well?
I'm in the spirit. I'm following.
Thank you. Hey, Chairman. Yes. Oh, that sits well. Thank you.
So,
Yes.
tell me, Chairman, if you're given an opportunity to speak to young guys watching this, and some are married, some are divorced, some are remarrying, some will never marry.
Yeah, true.
And some want to be in business. Most probably want to be in business. That's why they're watching this and they're drawn to this. It's not a mistake that they're watching this.
True.
What would you say to them, and what would you say you want them to remember the most from this conversation as we close?
I think, one of the things that really drive me in life is death. It's the idea of knowing that I'm going to die. I just don't know when. Right? That contract is one-sided. Unfortunately, we all don't know what that side of the contract. It's one-sided contract. It's with whoever you resonate as the maker, whether it be God, Allah, whatever it is. You've only got one life. And what you do with that life is entirely up to you. That's what I want people to remember. For me, my strongest belief is that life has got no meaning. You give life meaning. I think life is, for me personally, I believe you write your own chapters in life. Yes, you are writing it not knowing when it's going to end, but you write anyway. But make sure that it's the best writing you'll ever do of your life. And when it's all said and done. So for me, that's mainly, I think, over the last couple of years now, where I said to the guys, mainly, and I'm busy writing my eulogy, by the way, for my death.
Chairman and executive.
I'm literally writing my eulogy. And it was an exercise my business coach said, go write your own eulogy. And ask yourself every single day, when you do something, is that towards what you want people to remember you as? And that's how I live my life, and say, whatever it is that you want people to remember you as. So whenever you're making a decision, whenever I'm making a decision of, do I go into business? Do I not go to business? Do I honor this invitation? Don't I honor this? Is this leading me towards my eulogy? Will my eulogy be as correct as what I'm living now? And I live my eulogy, parts of it now. And that's what I want people to take away, that live, and live your eulogy. Because someday that's a guarantee. That road. And whether, for me, the nicest part, whether it happens tomorrow what happens in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years time? Would everybody around me go, oh yeah, I can resonate with that. Oh yeah, he was definitely that. Oh, the change and the impact that he made is that. And we all have the same opportunity. We all do. You know?
Well,
That's my strongest belief in life.
On behalf of the It's More Than Just Money audience, on behalf of the thousands of people that are gonna watch this, and on behalf of God's other children that you've served through words today, and those you serve through business daily, your dedication to entrepreneurship, property investing, I'd like to say thank you, for doing that, for putting yourself out there, and for allowing yourself to be vulnerable and to share your story with us. It's going to change lives. So thank you,
I
Chairman.
sincerely hope so. I like that one. But thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity. I think the work that you guys do, and it's not easy, by the way, guys, to do this work. It's not easy to stand and just talk, but we really also appreciate the work that you do. If I follow, certainly I would encourage people to follow. I'll go subscribe today. The moment I leave you, I'll go press the subscribe button.
Sure,
and not because of anything else, but it's also very, very important, to education comes in many ways. This is an education platform. It doesn't have to be school.
Sure.
But we really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you for taking your time and speaking to me. And I know for a fact it's not the last time. So
yeah, it's not the last time.
No, definitely.
But it's just that many times it won't be recorded. I'll be benefiting.
Oh no, but thank you so much. But thank you so much to Witness and your team for allowing us to invade your space and then having a chat and having a conversation. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. And if you're watching this and you're not inspired, I don't know what's going to inspire you now. I don't know. Take a pen and paper, rewatch the conversation, write down the things you need to write down. And from me and my team, broadcasting live from the QGI Consulting and Publishing Studios, Midrand, South Africa, Johannesburg. It's More Than Just Money. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. We must start.